Okay, so another thing that is something that I truly believe after 18 plus years in this business, that one of the most important things you can remember is to never trust anybody. And I hate to say that, but I'm telling you, I have been on the high end of things where I was, had great employees working for me. And I've been on the low end where I've had some just terrible thieving pieces of shit working for me. So I've seen it everywhere in between. So the best thing I can tell you guys is never trust anybody. And I'm sure I've been conditioned and hardened to the point where that's the way I feel. But, I've trusted guys so much over the years to do the things that they were supposed to do the things that I was paying them to do. And time again, it has come back to bite me, and things that you never would imagine people to do, just the constant theft things. I could think of an example of a guy that I was training for a manager position in Florida, and he was one of my best guys here, probably one of the best workers I've had in years. And I trained him. I spent months with him here. I went to take him to Florida. I flew down. He was going to drive down with his wife and kids. And I gave him the whole week off, with pay, mind you, to come down to Florida, and paid all the expenses, the whole 9 yards. The guy never showed up. And I had to send one of my other guys in Wisconsin over to his house to find out what's going on. He wouldn't answer my phone calls, anything. And in the end, after months of training and all the extra money that I gave him, turned around and said, I just can't go. Apparently his wife decided that he couldn't go, and that was the end of that. So, great guy, super guy, good worker, but absolutely screwed me there. So, and that, when you have that happen to you enough times, you just get sour to it and get hardened by it. But I'd love to just say everything is peachy and you shouldn't do that and you can't do that, but it happens to you over time. You start out being the greatest guy in the world, but eventually you just get hard to some of these things these guys do, because it just thickens your skin. I can think of another guy that I put in place as a manager down in Florida, and within 2 weeks, the guy had great credentials. He knew all the plants, knew the trees, the sods. He knew all of that stuff. Very, very knowledgeable guy, very friendly guy. And he was an older guy. He was in his mid-50s, and I thought, by God, we finally found a really good guy to put in charge. And we put him in charge, and within a week, the guys were telling me they could smell alcohol on his breath, and he always had a cup of coffee with him. And one of the days, I told one of my foremen, I said, hey, I want you to go sniff his drink and see what you smell. And sure enough, he was loading it up with some stuff, and we found the bottle that he hid in the truck. And, it's just stupid shit like that, So his career with me is gone. He's canned, I know another guy who got popped for drunk driving, and he was a manager also, and he just, never told me about it, no nothing. They yanked his license, and then finally some of the other guys told me that he was driving without a license in our vehicles. Well, our insurance company would have had a field day with that, so I had to get rid of him. It's things you hate to do, but you have to do. There's just no reason for it. There's no reason for a lot of this stuff. The non-driver's license thing is a killer. When guys get into trouble and they lose their licenses and they don't let you know about it, you got to stay on top of that. If you have any size business where you're having multiple people, multiple managers, things of that nature, you have to be on top of that stuff all the time. And it's hard to do. It's very hard to do. Because if he gets popped for drunk driving, how do I know they yanked his license? I'm not going to get anything from the government telling me they pulled his license, So it's tough. It's a tough spot to be in. And I think, previously I talked a little bit about the stealing the equipment and whatnot and how we handle that. But I think one thing I forgot to say was it's generally in the bigger businesses, when you start to get a bigger business, then this really becomes a problem. I know last time I spoke about this in my videos, some of you guys said, hey, that never happens to me. You must be doing something wrong, blah, blah, blah. The only thing I'm doing wrong is I'm probably spread too thin to where we're doing so much work and we have so many employees that it's impossible to watch everybody, and you'd love to, these guys, a lot of guys have said to me in the past, hey, I never have that problem. Well, it's probably because you got one or two guys working for you and you're right there with them every day. I mean, I don't have that problem here in Wisconsin because I'm here all the time. And I don't have it when I go to Florida. But when I leave Florida, it happens. When I leave Wisconsin, it happens. So, I don't know, it's just a nightmare. But anyway, time theft is something you guys should be aware of. And you don't think it's a big deal, but really it is. So for example, guys come in the morning. You're supposed to be there at 7 o'clock. You come in at 7:15, 7:30, what have you. If nobody's watching that, nobody's paying attention to that, you just robbed me of 15 minutes that I'm paying you for. Now, when you go to sign out at night, you're 15 minutes on that also that you screw me out of. You might punch out at 6 o'clock and you write 6:15 on your slip or something like that. I mean, those things also hurt us, And then let's say throughout the day they screw you out of a half a day, or not half a day, but I mean, even if they screwed you out of half an hour of work, well, they're sitting there doing nothing in the truck. I mean, we have GPS tracking units on them, so we kind of know what was going on throughout the day, how long it should take you on these jobs and how long it's actually taking you. And early on, I decided not to do that. I wanted guys to spend the quality time on the properties, and just as long as the work was done correctly, I was happy. Then it got to the point where they abused that, where they were sitting in their truck taking a nap for 45 minutes, things like that. But you just take the typical guy. If he screws you out of an hour in a day, 15 minutes in the morning, 15 in the afternoon, a half an hour throughout the day, that's 1 hour. Let's say you're paying him $10 an hour, okay? This is one guy. And you're running 2-man crews in these trucks or whatever, but just take one guy. Okay, so that's $50 a day. Times that times 5 days a week is $250. Times that, $250 times 52 weeks a year, and you're at, what, 13,000? So if I'm doing the math correctly, you should be at 13,000, and that's one guy. Now, if there's 2 guys in the truck and they're both, buddies, and they're all about this, well, now you're out $26,000 a year. Who of you wouldn't love to have $26,000 a year in your pocket? That's what one crew can do to you, much less have multiple crews out there. Look how much money they can take off your plate in a year, So you really got to pay attention to that. I outsource our vehicles maintenance. One time, these guys ran my Isuzu, my new NPR Isuzu truck, out of, it was the first one I bought too, and they ran that thing out of oil, and the new motor cost me 15 grand to put back into it. That was a huge lesson to be learned. From that point forward, I don't trust those guys with the maintenance on anything, and it is 100% taken care of by professionals. And once a month, those trucks go in there, they have new pads put on them once a month, and they have the oil changed on them once a month, no matter what. And I am not trusting the managers do it. I'm certainly not trusting the employees to do it. It's outsourced so that we can see that it's being done, so it's being done. Let's see, what else? Oh, the drama and the feuds that go on with the employees. Holy crap. I'll tell you what, one thing that we found, because you never know who to believe. This one says this one says that, and they're always like this, it's his fault. So one thing that we found that works better for us, if we have a problem situation where my truck lead will say, hey, I can't work with this guy anymore, he's slacking, I'm on his ass all the time, he's not changing, George, can you get me somebody else, okay? I'm going to do what I can to get you somebody else. I'm going to switch some people around, get somebody else in your truck. One of two things are going to happen. That problem employee is going to do the same shit over there with the next guy, and as soon as I find out that that's what happened second time around, he's gone, he's down the road. I can't have that in my business, and you shouldn't put up with it either. Or you got this guy that says, hey, get rid of him, I can't take it, George, your truck lead. If I put another guy in with him, and he has the same issue, then my truck lead's got issues, okay? Because not everybody is going to be the bad guy. So you got to learn. That'll help you learn. Switch guys around on these trucks. That'll help you learn who to believe, where your problem actually lies, and then correct it. Set him down, talk to him about it, say, dude, I can't put 20 guys in your truck. You got to get along with somebody. And if you don't have the skills to get them to do what you need them to do, then I'm going to help teach you how to do it. And if you still don't do it, then you're going to get demoted from truck lead because you can't get the job done. So that's the way I look at that. Let's see what else. The constant babysitting is a nightmare. As I'm sure you know, it's just, if you have any size business, it's terrible to babysit these guys. And the shame is you have to do it. You have to do it. I remember growing up on a farm here in Wisconsin, and you knew what your chores were, you knew what had to be done, and you got it done. If you didn't get it done, my dad would whoop your ass. I mean, that's just plain and simple the way it was done. Nowadays, obviously, you can't do that to employees. So you know your employees, you're constantly babysitting. It seems like, they go paycheck to paycheck, and they really don't give a shit. A lot of them. And now again, I'm talking about your bad employees. Don't everybody go off the wall on me and just say, hey, I've worked for this guy for 15 years and we've never had a problem, blah, blah, blah. Of course, you're a good employee. So I don't want all those things to come back at me. I'm talking about bad employees, okay? And things that I have been taught and ways I've dealt with it, okay? So it seems like today a lot of employees have the that's good enough attitude. And businesses out there today, even residential customers, don't have that attitude. They figure they're paying you, they want what they paid for. So your employees' non-giving a shit attitude, that's costing you money. You're going to lose those customers. We've lost them because we didn't pay attention to it in the past. So we pay a tremendous amount of attention to detail. If there's something our guys didn't do, they left the gate open, they didn't mow the backyard, or they didn't edge, or they're cutting corners, we address that immediately. Years ago, we were growing so fast, we didn't have the ability we didn't take the time. We had the ability, we didn't take the time to get on these things right away and nip them in the bud. So the best expression I love to use when I talk to my managers and they say, George, I don't have the time to babysit these guys. I don't have the time to babysit them. I look at it like this. Your guys are out there starting fires, okay? As a manager, the calls come in and you have to respond to them. So you have to go to Mrs. Jones' house because they left the back gate open and her dog got out again. You have to go to Mr. Rogers' house because they didn't mow the backyard. You have to go to Mr. Bradley's house because they didn't edge. So while you're spending all this time running around doing those things, okay, your children, your employees, are still running around with the book of matches in their hands. And all they're doing is starting a fire everywhere they go, and they're making that phone ring with angry customers. What do you do to stop it? You take the matches away from the children. Remember that saying, take the matches away from the children. And what do I mean by that? Get on them immediately. Get them to correct it. I fine them. I fine them $25 for every call that comes in. If it's legitimate, if they didn't edge the sidewalks, each guy in that truck gets a $25 fine. I don't give a shit who was doing the edging. I don't care because I'm not going to put up with this. I'm not going to have that, okay? So that's something that maybe you could use in your business. I don't know. You try it out. It's your money. You decide how much of it you want to let these guys piss away, or do you want to get on top of it and stop it? These are just some lessons that I've been taught. There's a bunch more I'm going to share with you guys as the winter goes on here. But bottom line is, it's your money. It's your equipment. It's your customers. You spent all the money on advertising. You're ultimately responsible. And if you let it happen, if you let the children keep playing with the matches, they're going to burn your house down one of these days. That was clever. I never even thought of that till just now. I'm going to say it again. It sounded so good. They are going to burn your house down someday. Food for thought.